Welcome to r/off my chest, where OP flies 7,000 kilometers to be with a webcam girl. Our next Reddit post is from Maleficent Vault. I traveled 7,000 kilometers to meet a webcam girl, and it turned into one of the most uncomfortable nights of my life. I'm 29, she's 23. For a few months, I had a really intense and honestly pretty strange connection with a girl from Colombia that I met online. We started talking in October 2025, and even though we both knew that it was kinda crazy, we talked every day for more than 4 months. Sometimes we had 4 to 5 hour calls. There was a lot of emotional closeness and even some jealousy on her side. She'd say things like, "I want you to be mine," or "I want you just for myself." Deep down, I knew that I was putting a lot of time and emotional energy into someone who lived 7,000 kilometers away and whom I'd never met in real life. But at some point, the uncertainty started to overwhelm me, so I decided to buy a ticket and see what would happen. Honestly, I couldn't detach from her, and she couldn't detach from me either. I arrived in Medellin a few days ago, and right away I sensed something was off. She started replying less, being colder, and showing much less interest. Still, we agreed to meet. I told her I was traveling to see her, and we planned to go out for dinner. At 8 p.m. I called an Uber, picked her up, and we went to a restaurant that I chose based on recommendations. I was pretty nervous, so I had a shot of whiskey beforehand to calm down. I greeted her with a kiss on the cheek, which is normal where I'm from. When I saw her, my first thought was, wow, she's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. Throughout the night, I tried to keep things light with humor and good vibes, not pushing anything. In the Uber, I tried to hold her hand casually to create some closeness. It felt like shaking hands with a corpse. There was zero response. She was completely stiff. This was my first clear, okay, something is wrong moment. At dinner, we talked and laughed a little, but I quickly noticed she barely asked me anything and didn't seem genuinely interested in me. At one point, our faces were close, and I tried to give her a small, subtle kiss. She pulled away and told me to calm down. After that, the distance just became more obvious. On top of that, she started complaining about the food with a disgusted face. I paid and we left. Not wanting to end the night there, I suggested going to a nice bar nearby. We stayed for about an hour and a half. It felt a bit more bearable, and even the waitress told us that we were a cute couple. But honestly, I felt like I was forcing the whole situation. When we left, without me even asking, she said she was going home to sleep. That already felt pretty bad. We waited for her Uber, and before she left, I tried to kiss her again. This time, she pushed my face away with a pretty ugly, almost contemptuous expression. I pretended nothing happened. She left, told me to take care in that area, and I was left alone in Medellin at dawn, feeling like the biggest idiot of my life. Just to be clear, she'd seen me many times in photos before. I looked the same in real life. I was well-dressed, in a good mood, and genuinely trying to make it a nice night. I invited her to nice places, paid for dinner, drinks, and the Ubers. She didn't thank me for anything, didn't suggest any plans, nothing. All this happened less than 24 hours ago, and I can't stop thinking about it. I feel like I wasted time, money, and a chunk of my dignity. I've never felt such clear disinterest from someone. I honestly don't understand why she stayed out so long if she clearly didn't want anything. I feel used, ridiculous, and pretty vulnerable. To make it worse, on the way back to my apartment, I sent her a few messages. She replied to some, but she didn't answer my last one. I knew coming here was a risk, but I didn't expect it to feel this humiliating. The only good part is that I genuinely love the city and still have a few more days here. But yeah, this whole situation has been pretty surreal. Any advice would be really appreciated right now. Then OP posted an update. Yes, folks, she asked me to visit her for over a month straight and was telling me I was taking too long. Everything was agreed upon in some way. I wasn't planning on going if it weren't for the fact that she insisted so much. In fact, I often thought about not going and ending it. And we're both single. Then another update. After 24 very difficult hours, I decided to take action and met a new girl in a very casual way. She turned out to be super friendly, polite, grateful, took me to see beautiful places in the city, and we ate typical foods. Everything was super natural and intimate, with genuine interest from both of us and good conversations. Life is extremely curious. This may not mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but since many people encourage me to make the most of these days and turn the page, I'm glad I followed that advice and had some great experiences that helped me forget and move on, which is very useful in all areas of life. So honestly, I'm still confused, but you never know where life will take you. Don't let discouragement get the better of you. Then another update. So the first girl, the webcam girl, wrote to me thanking me, saying that she had a great time. It all led to a very honest conversation on my part, with audio recordings of her crying saying she cares about me, and a 3 to 4 hour WhatsApp conversation. After I insisted, I said that we shouldn't talk anymore and that no possible scenario was favorable. She insisted that she was interested in me, but I told her to get her emotions in order because I could accept not passionately hugging. But the contempt she showed me by not wanting to give me a simple kiss was very obvious. I told her I would never hold a grudge against her. I wished her the best, and I stood my ground. I was really honest, and I wanted to see if we could give it a second chance, keep talking, etc. But it was all very strange, especially since this happened 3 days after we saw each other. She asked me if we could see each other if she came to my country. My conclusion is that this has been emotional BS, and talking to her in this conversation only brought me bad feelings, where I relived how stupid I felt. It was a definitive goodbye for me, even though I told her how ridiculously beautiful she was. As someone who tragically enjoys the show 90 Day Fiancé, even though it's a terrible show, I knew exactly where this post was going, though I'm guessing most of you guys did too. Our next Reddit post is from r/offmychest. I'm 24, marrying someone who's 41, and everyone thinks that I'm after his money. I met my fiancé 2 years ago through work. He's a consultant, I'm in marketing. We started as friends, and it just kinda happened. The age gap is obvious, but it never felt like an issue between us. He doesn't act like my dad, I don't act like a kid. We just work. But literally everyone else has an opinion. My mom cried when I told her that we were engaged. My sister hasn't spoken to me in 3 months. His friends make jokes about midlife crisis and trophy wife stuff when they think that I can't hear. My coworkers do this thing where they get really quiet when I mention him. Last month, he brought up getting a prenup. He has a house, retirement accounts, some investments. He said he wanted to protect both of us and make sure everything was fair. I said yes immediately because honestly, I thought that it would help. Like, maybe if we did this, people would stop assuming I'm some 24-year-old idiot who can't support herself. We met with a lawyer last week, and it was actually kind of validating. The lawyer kept talking about protecting my earning potential since I'm early in my career and he's established in his. She mentioned that strategically, I'll probably out-earn him eventually in marketing if I keep progressing. The prenup actually protects me more than him in some ways because it accounts for the fact that I'm starting out. I told my mom about it thinking she'd be relieved. Instead, she said it proves he doesn't really love me and that the whole thing is transactional. I tried explaining that it's actually protecting my future, and she said that I'm brainwashed. I'm just tired. I love him. He loves me. We're getting married in October. I don't know why everyone needs to make it into something ugly. The prenup was supposed to prove that I'm not after his money, but somehow it made things worse. I don't even know what I'm looking for here. I just needed to say this somewhere. Okay. OP thinks that everyone is seeing exploitation between a 41-year-old guy and a 24-year-old girl, but I'm seeing exploitation between the lawyer and the 24-year-old girl. Girl, that lawyer works for him, not for you. You know how much theoretical earnings are worth? Literally zero. Nothing. It's just an imaginary word. To be clear, I'm actually in favor of getting prenups. It's got such a nasty reputation nowadays, but if you think about it, anyone who gets married automatically has a prenup. It's just the prenup you have is that you allow the state to decide how your assets get divided. When you have a prenup, instead of some judge splitting your assets, you and your partner get to split your assets. So I have a prenup, I have a postnup too even, because our assets changed over the marriage, and it's not like it screws over my wife at all. No, it's dividing things very fairly, because we want things divided very fairly. So OP, you should get a prenup that protects you and your interests. It's just, you need your own lawyer to draft that contract. Our next Reddit post is from Simeo Throwaway. I passionately hugged my husband 10 years before we started dating, and he doesn't know that. I'm a 35-year-old woman, and when I was in high school, I met the man who would one day become my husband at a party. My parents were divorced and living in a different state, and I live primarily with my mom, but I would visit my dad on weekends and for all of summer break. This summer in particular, my cousin talked me into going to a party with her and a few of her friends. It was an outdoor bonfire party. I was a few drinks in when he stumbled over to me and asked to bum a cigarette, but I don't smoke, and I told him as much. He said, "That's okay, I've got one," before pulling out one from his pocket and lighting it up. We danced a bit, drank some, and laughed a lot, before spending some of the night together in the back of his SUV. He was sleeping when I left. One of my cousin's friends stayed sober to drive us all home. Fast forward 10 years, and I've been single for about 3 of those. A friend of mine sets me up with a single coworker of hers, and when we send each other a selfie for the first time over Snapchat, it's no other than Cigarette Guy. I didn't say anything to him about our one-night stand as teenagers, for a couple of reasons. I didn't want to make him uncomfortable or embarrassed if he didn't remember me, and I was embarrassed of how promiscuous I was from my teens to my early 20s. We've been married now for 7 years and have 2 children. If he remembered that night, he's never brought it up. Down in the comments, we have a similar story from Shrimp. I met my wife 3 months before I remember. About 3 years into the marriage, I set up a romantic date for the 5-year anniversary of the night that we met. Sitting down to a romantic dinner, I had a sappy little speech. 5 years ago when we met. She got a big shit-eating grin on her face, and I ask why. She says, "Well, we actually met 3 months before that at a friend's party. You were really nice and talked to me for about 15 minutes. I had a big crush on you after that." I have zero recollection, and it's still funny to this day. So tell him. OP, I once talked to a girl at a party and told her a story that I thought was relevant because it related to her situation. And she told me that I told her that story yesterday at a completely different, unrelated event. I was not drunk during that event. I had just completely deleted that entire interaction from my brain. Don't know how I did that, but it happened. Our next Reddit post is from Major Satisfaction. My girlfriend used an AI tool to search through my gallery, and now she's moving out. I have been with my girlfriend for 2 years. Things were going really great, but we had a massive blow-up last night. My girlfriend knows my passcode, and I've never had a problem with her using my phone to order food or check Spotify. Last night, we were looking for a photo of a restaurant menu that we took months ago. Instead of scrolling, she opened this app. But instead of typing menu, she started typing in things like girl, blonde, and beach. Suddenly, photos from like 4 to 5 years ago started popping up. Old vacation photos with my ex, screenshots of Hinge profiles from before we met, and some photos an ex had sent me that I honestly forgot were buried in my 10,000 plus photo cloud storage. I snatched the phone back and told her she was invading my privacy. She got super upset and said the fact that I still have those photos, even though they're 5 years old and buried, means I'm holding on to the past. I told her that it felt like she was fishing for a reason to be mad. She hasn't spoken to me since this morning and says I'm gaslighting her about my stash of old photos. I feel like my privacy was totally violated by her using a search engine on my personal life. She thinks I'm a liar for having the photos at all. Down in the comments, we have this story from Afroless Ninja. This happened to me once. Instead of getting mad, I just rolled with the punches. I was like, oh yeah, I never really delete pictures. Go ahead and keep looking, you'll find more exes, videos, etc. That shook her, but also I was being serious. Then, a few days later, I asked to look through her photos. She said, absolutely not, and I let that silence fester. You could see the realization on her face. I broke up with her shortly after. Our next Reddit post is from Icy Letterhead. My girlfriend's depression is just a lifestyle choice, and I'm finally done being her ATM. We've been together for 2 years, and I've paid for every single bill, every meal, and every rent check. She claims she's too depressed to work or even do basic chores around the house. I felt bad for her at first and did everything to support her. But lately, I noticed she has plenty of energy to spend 10 hours scrolling TikTok or going out for drinks with her girls. The second I suggest she gets a part-time job to help with the debt she put us in, she starts crying and says I don't understand mental illness. I'm tired of being the only adult. I realize I'm not her boyfriend, I'm just her personal servant. I'm moving out this weekend, and I don't even feel guilty. OP, I'm on your side. If I scrolled TikTok for 10 hours, I would also be depressed. Down in the comments, we have this story from Kindly Pizza. My former neighbor did something like your ex. I think she's going to turn 65 soon. All her life, she went from one man to another. Whoever can pay for her rent, food, and cigs. She wasn't pretty, but she was very skilled in morphing herself into someone that particular man wanted, at least in the beginning. For example, one of the former boyfriends was into camping, and she suddenly morphed herself into the most enthusiastic camping buddy. Then there was a guy who was into gardening, and she was suddenly morphing into the main character from Stardew Valley. She was and is great at selling fantasy. I think she can maintain that kind of life even to her 90s. That was r/ off my chest, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit episodes every single day.